When two lower rated, maybe newer players play each other and you were to give them the tip, hit to their backhand, hit it deep to their backhand, that might work. Because at lower levels, the game is full of completely unforced errors. But what happens when you go up the ratings and, well, just going to their backhand is not doing anything because it's rock solid, and that's actually where they want the ball. Think about Sasha Zverev, for instance. If you were to hit the ball deep to his backhand, he sits there all day and doesn't make an error. But you start slicing to it, you start drop shotting, you start mixing up the pace, and all of a sudden, things look very differently. At the recreational levels, a lot of players have only really started scratching the surface of tactical development. And they might spot a very glaring, obvious weakness, but the higher you go in the ratings, the fewer those become. In this video, I'm going to share with you how to find those more hidden vulnerabilities. I'm talking about the ones that once you start poking at them, they will get under your opponent's skin and they will produce points for you. When do you start looking for their weaknesses? If you have the chance, scout them. At many tournaments, the same rounds play at the same time. Let's say you have a fairly quick match and your next opponent might still be playing. Spend 10, 15 minutes and watch their match. That's the best giveaways they can possibly give you. And then, of course, the warm-up is huge. Go ahead and mix things up a little bit. On higher, deeper ones, do they back up? Do they step in? How do they move to lateral balls? How do they react to different spins, slice, topspin, or even a flat ball? And then, of course, the first few games. To me, they're still info gathering, basically, if you will. Don't worry about winning every single point. Experiment a little bit. See what patterns are working or not working. What reactions do you get? Even if you lose a few points, to me, they're an investment because you gain knowledge. And you'll quickly notice that most players have a go-to shot or pattern, one that they fall back onto when things get a little tougher. What is that? What is their strength? It could be that you can poke a hole right into their strengths. You're probably going to ask me, but why would I hit directly to their strengths? Hear me out on that. A strength is oftentimes built on things being just right for exactly that shot. Think about a player, for instance, who hits forehands from literally everywhere in the court. Out there, from over there, they want their forehand. And a lot of times that's built around, at a recreational level, a weaker backhand. They're protecting their backhand. Your move might be that you're actually going to that strength so that you're then deliberately exposing the weaker side. Classic pattern for that would be a wide serve to a right-hander's forehand here on the deuce court. I might be able to hit a really good forehand here, but I'm still also leaving my outside wide open. And once I have to run to that ball, am I still going to be able to hit a really high quality shot? And of course, we can also try to deconstruct that weapon, finding the glitch, if you will, because at the recreational level, even the biggest strength will have a set of circumstances, let's put it this way, in which the player is not able to use that super weapon. For instance, think about somebody who has a very extreme forehand grip. I'm immediately, even at pro level, I'm thinking about Iga Swiatek. A player with a grip like this loves the balls. Shoulder high, chest high, belly button high, still all good. But if you, for instance, were to chip the ball short with a really, really knifey slice, how am I going to get under this ball with this grip? And I might, again, not immediately miss that, but I am giving you a lesser quality ball that you can then use to build your patterns that you want over time when you demonstrate to your opponent that you have figured out and you can take away their strength. That's going to start really gnawing away here. Another thing that you can try out is different paces. A lot of times recreational players love one pace, but if you throw in a couple of higher, deeper, they have to be deep, softer ones, and then blast the ball lower, faster at them, they might have a harder time adjusting if they have bigger swings, or for instance, a one-hander. I never liked it when somebody got the ball up above my shoulder and then the next ball, I was rushed somewhere down here because they blasted the next ball right at me. And of course, when I talk about rushing somebody. Yes, you can do that, hitting harder and actually varying the pace of the ball. But major damage that you can do is by simply taking the ball sooner. So you might have to work on taking the ball earlier, either on the rise or the top of its bounce, or you might actually even have to come in, because volleys are the ultimate way of taking time away from your opponent. And of course, for a lot of players, everything goes really smoothly when the score is in their favor. But is that strength still a strength when things get a little tougher? So you have to really work of staying with them. And by that I mean you're not showing any reactions whatsoever when they actually do slap a few winners. I'm thinking about a Yelena Ostapenko, for instance. When you play her, she will hit some absolutely improbable winners. But if you continue to stay with her score-wise and increase the length of the points and vary things for her, she'll sometimes miss balls where you're going like, what? The same goes for serves, for instance. Do players use one serve in tight situations? For instance, and I'm a little guilty of that, a high kick on the outside. So if you know that's what I'm going to do, if you sneak out here a little bit and basically, again, tell me that you've read what I'm doing, I might have to go to the tee there, a serve that I don't want to hit a whole lot as a second serve. So you start messing with their heads. What about net rushers? Do they have equally good volleys on both sides? A lot of players have a weaker backhand volley. Most all players, world class or recreational, don't care, have weaker lower volleys. So instead of trying to outright pass them, dipping the ball down to their feet and making them volley up to you so you have more time and potentially better openings is a really smart play. Or for a lack of open space to hit into for an outright pass, how do they react when you blast the ball right at them? Okay, so you figured out what those conditional weaknesses are, but that's not all. There are some mental challenges coming right at you with that knowledge. The most important part, I think, is to realize that they will not just give you easy points by just missing, just because you tried something different one time. And most often, it's not just about one specific shot that you hit, but it's a sequence of shots. It's patterns that you have to run. And what that means is that you have to realize that it's maybe not the very last shot that you hit that earned you the point, but maybe a shot before that, or even a ball 2-3 shots before that. And you have to have the patience to continue the point waiting for that error. And you also have to accept that you're maybe not immediately starting to win those points either. It might take 1 or 2 or 3 games for you to find that chink in their armor, and then for them to really start getting really uncomfortable with having to do something that they don't want to do a whole lot. And that's especially tricky when it's early on in the match and you haven't found that recipe yet, and your opponent might kind of steamroll you a little bit in the beginning. So you have to trust the process that you will get your opportunities later in the match. Next mental challenge is that you can't expect that your opponent is not going to catch on. It could be that they totally figure out what you're doing and they change their game again. And that can be good for you, that can be bad for you. Bad for you, obviously, because now they might be doing something that you don't like to do, and you also now have to, again, try to figure out how to deal with that. But good for you, because by doing something differently, they might actually reveal even more weaknesses. So it's all about staying switched on mentally, if you will, and you constantly have to ask yourself, what is my opponent doing? What do they like? What do they do not like? It's that mental effort over a huge amount of time, for instance 5.5 hours at the Men's French Open final, that the players have to adjust to the constant momentum shifts of the match. So next time you go now, don't just think about your own game. Look for what your opponent thinks, for instance, their strength is, and then start to ask yourself, when and how does it start to wobble? How can I exploit that? It is, of course, tough because we focus a lot on ourselves, our own frustrations, when certain things don't work. But in no match that you will play will everything always work your way. Tennis does not work that way. You have to be flexible. Great players know that. They're A, accepting that, B, they're adjusting to it, and C, they're disciplined enough to do that for a very long time. And if you enjoyed this video and the more tactical side of tennis, go ahead and subscribe to my channel and also check out this playlist right here, Tactics and Strategies of Tennis.